Most people think attraction begins with confidence, looks, or smooth words. But according to this section, it begins much earlier than that. It begins with selection. The first mistake most people make is assuming everyone can be drawn in the same way. That is not true. Some people are emotionally open, others are closed. Some are searching for something, others already feel complete. And that difference changes everything. This is why the opening idea here is so important. The process begins by choosing the right target. In simple terms, not everyone is equally receptive. The chapter argues that the people most likely to be drawn in are those with a gap inside them. Maybe they are lonely. Maybe they feel unseen. Maybe they are bored with their routine. Maybe they want excitement, attention, validation, mystery, or escape. The point is not that they are weak. The point is that something in them is unfinished. And unfinished people are often more emotionally responsive. That first idea connects directly to the next one, which is approach. Once attention is focused on a target, the biggest error is coming on too strong too early. If your intentions are obvious, resistance goes up immediately. People become defensive when they feel they are being pushed, pursued, or studied. That is why the approach described here is indirect. Instead of forcing attraction, the seducer first enters the edges of the other person's world. Not as an obvious threat, not as an obvious pursuer, but as someone who feels harmless, casual, or neutral. This is where the false sense of security comes in. The other person lowers their guard because they do not yet feel danger. They believe the relationship is unfolding naturally. They think they are safe. And that is exactly what makes the connection more powerful. The chapter is basically showing that when people do not feel pressure, they allow more access. They talk more openly. They reveal more about their needs, frustrations, and fantasies. In other words, the less threatened they feel, the easier they are to read. Then comes one of the most fascinating ideas in this section: mixed signals. Once awareness is there, interest has to be deepened. The easiest way to become forgettable is to be too obvious. If people can fully explain to you in 5 seconds, their curiosity disappears. But if they sense a contradiction in you, their mind keeps returning. The person who is kind but distant, confident but unpredictable, warm but unreadable, innocent on the surface yet clearly holding something back. Those contradictions create tension, and tension creates attention. Why does this work so well psychologically? Because people are naturally drawn to puzzles. When someone makes perfect sense immediately, the brain finishes the task and moves on. But when someone feels difficult to decode, the mind keeps circling back, trying to understand what is hidden underneath. That is where intrigue begins, not in total mystery, but in partial contradiction. You reveal enough to attract, but not enough to fully explain yourself. The larger lesson across these chapters is that attraction does not usually start with intensity. It starts with precision. First, attention is directed towards someone likely to respond. Then pressure is reduced by approaching from the side instead of head-on. Then curiosity is intensified by becoming less easy to define. When those 3 things happen together, interest begins to build almost on its own. What makes this section so compelling is that it is really about psychology more than romance. People are not only drawn to beauty or charm, they are drawn to relevance, to emotional timing, to the person who enters their life in a way that feels different from everyone else around them. And once that difference is established, curiosity can become fascination very quickly. So if we strip this down to its simplest form, the first phase is this: find the person who is already emotionally open, step into their world without setting off alarms, and remain just hard enough to understand that their mind keeps returning to you. That is how the process begins. Not with a loud move, but with a quiet entrance that slowly becomes impossible to ignore. And that is what makes this stage so powerful. By the time the other person realizes something unusual is happening, they are already paying attention. They are already curious. And curiosity is the doorway through which everything else enters.